Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new video of a game that I played a couple hours ago where I played with the black pieces and I got absolutely demolished by this guy. Yeah, let's get into it. So my opponent starts off with the move c4. I go e5. This is just what I play against the English. I think that is the best way to play. Um, it's just a reverse Sicilian-esque position where white is playing with the c pawn and black is playing in the center, and it gives me some good structures that I enjoy. My opponent goes g3, I go g6. Idea: I want to play bishop g7. I want to go knight f6. I want to go e6. I like that black gets a lot of center control in this line, but it's always better for white, which is why the English is a very good opening for beginners and pretty much like everyone because it's hard to play against. Bishop g2, bishop g7. My opponent goes e3. I go for this move knight to f6, which I thought was pretty natural. Just putting my knight in the center, controlling some center squares. I'm going to go knight c6 in the future. It's important to play this move because this bishop can be a nuisance on this pawn. So knight e2, castle. I'm not really doing anything crazy, just castles. My opponent castles as well. I thought, okay, I'm just going to go knight c6. Life is going to be good. What I should have done here, I should have gone with this move c6 instead. The same idea of blunting the bishop. And now I might even prepare for d5 here. Like for example, if like knight bc3, I have this move d5 takes, and I have a very nice center. Knight c6 is coming, and black is simply better. That's what I should have done, but instead knight c6, thought this was natural. Knight bc3, I went d6, and now my idea is simple. I want to go bishop here or bishop wherever, and then I want to get my queen out, get a battery over to this square, and trade off her powerful light square bishop. Yeah, and I thought that was a pretty average looking plan. My opponent goes d4. I thought ed was pretty much forced. Knight d4. I thought knight d4 was also pretty much forced because I didn't really see what else there was to do. ed4, and then I decided to go for like a little bit of a tactic here, and I played this interesting move d5. And the idea behind it is, I think, pretty simple. First of all, to the untrained eye, it looks like it loses a pawn. Like, it looks like, oh, there's 3 attackers and there's only 2 defenders. You're losing a pawn. Yeah, it looks like that. But the issue with it, the reason why it's not like a bad move, is because the computer hates it. But it's not like that bad of a move. After cd5, I thought I would have adamant like control of the center. Well, not control of the center. I would have adamant compensation for the lost pawn. You have these awkward doubled pawns here. I thought, okay, rook e8, I just play like normal. Now you just have a weakness, and I'm going to like exploit that for the rest of the game. And I thought that was it was worth it for the pawn. Instead, my opponent decided to capture. As always, my idea to take. I want her to double her pawns. My opponent captures with a bishop because she doesn't win double pawns, obviously. But now I just get to win my pawn back with c6, and queen takes d4, which was another one of the ideas, keeping everything together. And I thought queen d4 was forced. My opponent decides not to go queen d4. My opponent decides not to trade queens. I thought trade queens, black is slightly better, and I would be doing good. I have this weakness here that I can attack. My bishops get pretty good activity, and then I'm gonna like bring my rooks to the center quicker than she is, and I'm gonna have a better position. And that's accurate. That's accurate. That's what should have happened. Instead, my opponent decides to go a little bit crazy and plays this move, queen to b3. And this move kind of messed with me. Because what she's doing here, she's saying, okay, your pawn is weak. And now your bishop is stuck guarding it for the rest of the game. You're gonna have some hard time getting my queen out. And if you just like lazily defend like this move, like rook e8, which I considered, a rook d8, which I considered, I thought, well, my opponent just gets her bishop out, like bishop g5, right? And now I have to go back. I have to go back to f8, because if I stick around, let's say here, simply rook fe1, I move my queen somewhere, takes, and she wins this pawn. Not something you want to go for, right? Not something you want to go for. So I got to be careful. So I got to be very, very careful. And instead of doing like something like that, I tried to be a little more creative, and I played this move queen to e5 which I thought was pretty interesting. I'm still keeping my queen in the center. But now my queen's idea is to go back to c7 at some point. I'm keeping pressure on this pawn, so she can't move her dark squared bishop. And I thought, okay, my position's not that horrendous. Queen e5 is a bad move. What I should be doing, queen b6 is one of them. I considered this, but I didn't really see what happened if she just like kept the tension, or wait, like bishop e3, like here. I mean, my opponent has some compensation. Sure, I can take this pawn, but this is at the very least a draw, and I didn't want to draw. I thought I was slightly better, and I wanted to win. Right. So, queen b3. Oh, the best move, by the way, is a5. Trying to kick the queen out. Very nice move. Didn't see that. But anyway, queen e5. My opponent went this move h3, which I didn't really understand what it did. And I was like, really? H3? Is this really what you want? And I was a little confused. So I went with my plan of queen c7. This was my idea of going queen e5 in the first place. Now I'm defending this pawn. Now I want to play bishop to e6 and have very nice pressure on her queen, which I thought was pretty good idea. Bishop f4. And my idea here was to mimic with this move bishop e5. And I thought, okay, after bishop takes, queen takes, the position is at the very least equal, and I think I'm gonna be fine. Like, I can come back to c7, I can come here. There's b5 ideas. Like, I thought my position was fine. I don't really have to mind the dark squared weaknesses, because I mean they don't have a dark squared bishop either. So after bishop e5, my opponent goes bishop h6. I decide to mimic for a move. If she was going to go back here, I would go here, and then I would like play something else. I would play like probably like rook d8. Yeah, probably like rook d8, keeping some stuff on the board, keeping some tension, because now I've made her waste time. That's like the whole point of repeating moves. Anyway, my opponent decides not to do that. She breaks the 3-move idea first and goes with this move bishop to e3. And I said, okay, now let's keep the party going. Let's bring my piece to the center. Why not? Rook e8. I thought this was very natural. Rook e8. I mean, what can be easier than this? My rook is to the center. That's where it wants to be. I'm gonna go bishop e6 next. I don't really have to rush with that move, which was what I was thinking. I don't have to rush with that move. Also, I'm preparing against this because I thought, okay, here. I thought I was gonna play this again. Actually, this is bad because of rook fe1, and I'd have to play like f6 or something. But I didn't see that. Instead, my opponent goes rook fe1 immediately. I go bishop e6. Same idea. I'm pinning this pawn to the queen, and I want to play b5. And my opponent comes up with like this amazing idea here. Like, oh my gosh. First, she plays rook ad1. I decided that going queen c8 was worth it. In all honesty, I think it's a waste of time now. But I thought this was a little dicey. Like, for some reason, I didn't think that this was okay. So I played queen c8 first. And I was like, okay, now I'm attacking this pawn and I'm threatening like this idea. I was like, okay, that makes sense. My opponent goes back with a rook. And I can't really take this pawn, which is what I realized. I can't take this pawn because after here, she gets this pawn. And I was like trying to see if this was good or not. And I didn't think it was. I thought this was bad for me. I actually really didn't like this position. Because my queen is off sides and I feel like I'm going to lose another pawn, right? So I was really worried about this. And that's what I realized. I was like, okay, I got to play b5. That's like the only way. And it's the best move, b5. But I mean, the next move, I mean, it's just crazy. Next move, I was like, is that a mouse slip or something? I didn't even... This is a crazy move. I thought I was just better. I thought I was just winning, right? I have this pressure. I'm doing quite well. But my opponent comes up with bishop d5, which is just... Like, what are you supposed to do against bishop d5? That's crazy. And everything works out. Like, I can't... It's such a nice move. I can't take like this because after cd5, my queen is hanging. I thought, well, we calculate a bit further here. And actually, my opponent just takes here. Just takes the queen. And now my queen is hanging. I go like queen h3 here, equal position. I thought, okay, that's not the best way. And I kept trying to think that there was like a reason why this didn't work. And I ended up choosing a line that I thought was interesting, which is this line bc4. And the idea after here is that I want to take on c4, queen takes, and then I want to take on h3. And I was saying, okay, after all this, I get b2. And I thought, okay, at the very least, I'm up a pawn. I have pressure. My opponent has like kind of a weak king in some lines. I might play like h5, h4 maybe. And the game kind of proceeds in this way of me really, really trying to win, even though the position doesn't allow me to win. Like, I'm not in a position to win here, which is really funny. My opponent goes rook b1. I go rook ec8, which I thought was natural, hitting the queen out, getting my rook to a better square. Thought this was a good idea. My opponent goes queen up, and now they're targeting this pawn, and I thought, if I go all the way back, then rook b7, you attack this, I'm going to lose my extra pawn. I don't want to do that. I thought I had to go like probably like queen e6 here, and then just get into like this position, and then I have weaknesses, like bishop takes a7, this pawn is kind of weak. I didn't really like this position too much, so I didn't go for this. And instead I was like, okay, you know what I can do? I'm gonna keep things on the board. I go bishop c3, hit the rook first. If she goes here, then I'm gonna go queen e6, not there. And after takes, I thought, you know what, the rook is hanging. Maybe I'm gonna be able to defend a pawn. Maybe I'm gonna be able to save my pawns. You're actually a5 is the best move, but after, I mean, this looks terrifying. Look at that. It's kind of scary. I thought h5 maybe, but then I mean even this, like that's real scary. That's real scary. Oh, rook b7 gets a brilliant. Wait, what? Bishop c3, rook b7. Okay, this was not what happened in the game. I don't know why rook b7 gets a brilliant move. That doesn't make any sense. You're just threatening mate. Like, if I take the rook, it's mate. That's dumb. That's a stupid brilliant. Anyway, rook ec1. Trying to target my bishop through my rook with this interesting pin, and she's threatening to take my bishop, which would lose the defense of this rook, and I would be lost. Of course, we don't want that to happen, right? So after bishop c3, rook ec1, I move the bishop again, and I go bishop g7, and now I'm offering a rook trade, which I think is beneficial to me, because now I'm going to get my queen back in the game. I might get my queen active, and I thought, you know, at the very least, I have some ways to like play for a win here. Instead, my opponent goes rook e1. Okay, reasonable. I'm still very scared of rook b7. I go rook d8, hit the queen, queen f3, and I thought up a very interesting move, which was this move queen e6. And for some reason, I just blanked. I just completely blanked. I was like, my opponent doesn't have any good discoveries. I didn't think my opponent had any good discoveries, because I thought after taking this pawn, I can take on a2, and I'm doing quite well. I mean, I'm up a pawn still, and now my weakness is gone. I thought that was decent, but I just missed that my rook is on a dark square, and my opponent can just do this. And I tried here. I really tried here. But in the end, my queen is hanging. My rook is hanging. I was like, you know what? Your queen is also not undefended. And so is your bishop. Why don't I go this move queen d5? As hits the queen, hits the bishop. F queen takes, then I take with the rook. It feels like it solves all my problems, right? But I just missed this idea of rook e8, which is just absurd. I go bishop f8. I'm trying to like keep everything together, but now I just queen d5, and I lose defense of this rook. I take the bishop and rook b8, and I just resign here. Actually, after this, I resign. But I mean, this is a very tricky game. Sometimes stuff like that happens. Sometimes you just miss something. You play like a bunch of accurate moves, and then you just lose. Like, for example, I play this game at 87.8. Like, that's a decent accuracy. Like, I can be happy with that. But my opponent gets 93. It gets a little rough, right? It gets a little tricky. And I thought I played well, but it turns out I didn't. you know, you win some, you lose some. I guess that's the, the thing you can glean from this. Either way, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, all of the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, and all the normal things that YouTubers tell you to do. And yeah. One more thing. I'm gonna start streaming on Twitch a decent amount. It's under the same name as this YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go over there, it'd be much appreciated. Yeah. Good evening and good night.